Hey everyone, it's Michelle Caruana, owner of Climbing Vines Cafe and Play and creator of Play Cafe Academy. And in today's video, I am going to be sharing another coaching call. You guys have been really commenting on the last couple coaching calls that you found them valuable and that you want to see more of them. So I'm going to be giving you more coaching calls. And if you like this video, please feel free to like it, leave a comment. If you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment. I answer every single one, and don't forget to subscribe to this channel because I put out a new video every single week. Now, this coaching call is going to be a little bit different, and it's going to be extra special because it's actually with current Play Cafe Academy and Playmaker Society member Sydney. And the reason that it's a little bit special is because she has already opened her indoor playground. So the past couple coaching calls that I shared were from Play Cafe Academy members who were still in the opening process and crunching their numbers and finding spaces and things like that. But Sydney's actually, at the time of this recording, I recorded it a couple weeks ago, she had already been open for a couple weeks. So she asked some really insightful questions about marketing, her team, her space, operating her Play Cafe. So no matter where you are in your Play Cafe journey, I highly recommend that you stick it out through this entire coaching call because again, Sydney asked some great questions and I highly recommend taking notes. There is so much value in this video. And just shout out to Sydney. I'm going to link to her website in the description of this video. She has the absolute coolest space. It has an amazing color scheme. It has some really, really cool play features, and it has an amazing local retail area. So I highly recommend checking it out for some inspiration. I am so proud of everything she's accomplished. So without further ado, here is my coaching call with Sydney. Hey Sydney, thank you so much for joining me on the call today.
Good morning.
How are you? So you've had a very busy week.
We have, yes. This has been our grand opening week. We're not open today because it's Monday, but last week, Tuesday through Saturday, was our official grand opening week, and we did a whole week of it instead of just doing one day, so that it gave people more of an option of times to come in with different fun things going on. And I'm exhausted, but it was really, really good. We were really thankful with how the week turned out.
Good, congratulations. So how did it go? Was there any takeaways from it? I'm just curious.
Well, there were some little things that we've already changed. But for the most part, all the moms were really happy. And what was exciting was within that Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, within those 5 days, we had 5 or 6 repeat customers already committed for their second time. So I was like, oh, it's good. It's not just we'll go once and then you never go back, so that made us feel good about it.
Awesome. Well, congratulations. I'm really, really happy for you. And I love all the pictures and the videos that you've been posting. I love the theme. I love the colors. It looks awesome. So congratulations.
Oh, thanks so much. I need to thank you because, oh my gosh, I have a whole list over here of all the things I want to thank you for. First of all, your ideas are incredible, and I could not have gotten started with any of this without you. And if you didn't know, I found you on Pinterest, I'm pretty sure. I was doing like indoor playground stuff, and one of your blogs or something popped up, and that's where I found you. But your personality is so inviting, and you're so sweet and so helpful, and your core and your expertise, I'm reading this because I wrote it all down, is beyond helpful. I remember when I first met with my small business advisor, I had your business plan that I had tweaked with all of my information, and he was blown away. And he was like, did you write this? I was like, well, I put all my information, but I have a mentor girl. That's what I call you, my mentor girl. And I was like, he provides us, with all of this. And he was really blown away. He said that, he works with small business people all the time in Alabama, and he said he hasn't seen someone as prepared. So,
nice. Well, that makes me feel really good. I love hearing that because I always, hope that the stuff I put out there is helpful, but it's nice to hear people actually putting it into action because some people grab it and then they never, put it into action. So it's nice seeing someone bring it all the way through to fruition. So thank you.
Yeah.
All right. So what questions do you have for me? I'm really excited. The people that I've talked to so far have not yet been open. They're getting ready to open. So I'm excited.
Oh, yeah. Well, I know we had planned to talk before, but then it worked out that, we got to do this. I know, okay, let's just start with one of the things. I know that I need to have like super thick skin, okay? I've had lots of other just small business owners say that's like their biggest piece of advice because everyone's going to tell you their opinion, And I'm such a people pleaser, and I want everybody to be happy. Like, that's what I've told my few employees that I've hired. I'm like, if the customer's wrong, they're right. Like, all of those things that I've learned just doing customer service and being a teacher. But how do you approach, I guess, really social media? Well, I mean, people in person are going to tell you things, but when they write it on there, like, how do you approach that? Like, with people who have a complaint or something did go wrong for them, or there's something they didn't like, or they just want to tell you what you're doing wrong, like, what's your approach to that? I guess more so online.
Yes. So my approach is always to take it from an educational standpoint. So I try to use it as an opportunity to explain why we made a particular decision. So, for example, a lot of people complain for us about older siblings in the baby area. They think that we should allow older siblings in the baby area. And so that's probably one of our top 3 complaints that we get most frequently, especially online. A lot of people say, how am I supposed to, play with one child when the other child isn't allowed? And I use it as an opportunity to say, okay, this is why we made this decision. We made this decision because, toddlers and young preschoolers don't really understand why one child can be in the baby area and they can't. So it's really, we just have to draw a hard line and enforce the rule for everyone. And I say, that's actually why we put clear plexiglass on the walls so that you can actually see through. And while you're sitting on the couch in the baby area, you can actually have full view of our entire play area. And I just, explain, our toys are made for 18 months and younger. They will break if a 3-year-old, tries to use them. So I try to just be very kind and really take it as an opportunity. Another one is like socks. A lot of people complain that they have to take their shoes off. So here, we're in New York, so we get a lot of snow, salt, mud, rain. So I say, there's babies crawling all over the play area. You don't really want them picking up dirt or salt or anything like that and putting it in their mouths. And I use it as an opportunity to remind them that cleanliness is one of our biggest priorities. So I say, we wouldn't be able to adhere to our standards of cleanliness if we allowed people to wear shoes in the play area. So I guess all of that to say is I would just use it as an opportunity to explain. It's really easy to just blow it off and say, well, you have no idea, you don't understand, but make them understand, right? Because people that are behind a keyboard usually just really want to feel heard and valued. So as long as you acknowledge their comment, maybe say that you'll take it into consideration. But if it's a hard rule that you've already decided, I would just use it as an opportunity to, again, explain why you've made that decision. Because also online, don't forget, it's not just about the person that's commenting. Everybody else who's going to read that might have the same question and react to them. If you come from a place of service and, thank you so much for your comment, we'll take it into consideration. But in the meantime, this is why we've made this decision. Anybody that reads that then won't have the same question or complaint when they come in, because they'll understand the reason behind it. A lot of people just don't understand. So I try to keep that in mind.
That makes sense.
My best advice is just use it as an opportunity and explain why, because a lot of people just really don't realize, we're so close to the business. So we're like, well, obviously I'm going to make people take their shoes off. It would be disgusting if I didn't. But some people really just don't realize that. They really only think of their short-term inconvenience. But if they really think about it and you bring those sorts of things to their attention, they're like, oh yeah, well, my shoes are clean, but what if this person just walked through a mud puddle or, doesn't make
See, mine's kind of not necessarily the opposite, but it's so hot down here that nobody's wearing socks. They're all wearing sandals. And so when they come in and I'm like, oh, we have to have socks. You can see some of them don't mind, and some of them are like, how much are socks? They're so offended. And then I do say well, it just helps us keep it clean for the babies or, whatever. But ours is kind of it's not that they'll take their shoes off. It's that they don't have socks with them because they're not wearing socks.
And we get that in the summer too. We're a little bit lucky because I can just blame it on the health department because we serve drinks. But honestly, I would just say, it's a hygiene thing, and it's just one of those things that people are always going to complain. But the opposite, having it, having people not wear shoes or socks. If you've ever been to those indoor gymnastics places, you know what I mean? There's It's the lesser of two evils, in my opinion. So I would just kind of explain that as well. And that's what we do. And people are like, oh yeah, like I guess I don't want to walk into a facility and just smell feet. You know?
Yeah. And something I had gotten, I don't know who told me, but we were talking about socks, maybe the owner next door. And she was saying like, maybe it would be a good idea for me to get maybe like festive socks, like have like Halloween socks and then have turkey socks and then have Christmas socks or whatever, so that when the parents are getting them, they feel like a little more excited about it, or like, we'll wear these again, or, just like to kind of make it, you know what I mean?
Yeah, we have colored socks, and I think it helps, except when it's a grandma and they don't really appreciate it. So we always have plain socks as well. But I always just tell people, this is like a one-time thing. Just roll them up, keep them in your center console, and then next time you'll always have socks in your car.
Yeah.
It's one of those things that it's a lesser of two evils, and people are just, going to complain, and you just have to kind of stick to your guns, because again, if you start enforcing the rule for some people and not others, then it's going to just snowball into other aspects and other.
Yeah, right. That's my husband's like, if you let one person, and I'm like, because I just want to make everybody happy. Okay, so another thing I wanted to ask you about was snacks, but also like your merchandise. And do you have a lot of people, well, I guess I'm asking how many people come in that are not there to play, that either they're buying a gift for a kid or for themselves or whatever? Do you have a decent amount of that, or do you even try to market that, or that's just something that I'm thinking people come in for birthday parties, like it's a lot of adults, aunts, whoever, that, they're not watching a child for those 2 hours. Like that would be a good time to pick up on someone buying some type of merchandise from you. I was just wondering like how you do that, and do you market that, or do you just take advantage of it when they happen to be there?
Yeah, so we don't market it just because we focus on so many different other aspects. It's kind of hard. Like we'll post about it once in a while, especially around the holidays. Typically when we sell most of the gifts, it's actually like with a gift card. So a lot of times people will come in wanting a gift card. They'll see that we also have toys and books, and they'll kind of want to package them together. We don't get a lot of traffic just for toys. It's people stopping in because, oh, my niece loves this place, or I think my granddaughter would really like it. And then they just grab a gift and a book to make the gift complete. Because, toddlers don't really want to open a gift card. They don't understand what it means. So that's typically where we make the most sales, or people coming in. We very rarely actually sell toys without like some sort of package or gift card. So we try to market that as like a pairing, and sometimes during the holidays we'll even have like gift bags, and we'll like have them like wrap it and put it together. Because they might be on their way to like a party or something like that. But the reason that we don't push it more is because we didn't plan a lot of retail space in the beginning. I wish we would have. You're really lucky in that you do have, quite a nice dedicated space, and you have, jewelry and things like that. So I think you'll do a much better job with like the adult shopping during parties. But we just don't, because we really just don't have the space. We actually have to move most of our retail items off the counter during parties, because that's where we put the food. So, and we have to clear off the table in the vestibule, because that's where we put presents. So we kind of miss out on an opportunity in that regard. Our second location, their retail items stay out all the time. And I do know that they do sell quite a bit more than us during parties. So we corrected the mistake for the second location. But I do think that letting people know that, hey, you can show up without a gift and we can get you, set up nicely. I think that would be really smart to do. We just don't, because we don't have the selection.
Yeah. Well, speaking of your second location, that was one of my questions. I kind of wanted to hear more about like how you went about opening a second location and how it works in terms of like, are you the owner and you're paying this girl to manage it, or she owns it and she's collecting the revenue? Like, how does that kind of work for your second location? And when did you think that it would be a good time? Like, how did you come about saying, okay, yeah, we're doing well enough that we could, potentially make more and not be competing with a second location?
Yep. So this was a tough decision. We had the decision to either we had to choose between three different things. First thing was opening the second location ourselves. Number two, franchising, which means that we would have creative control of the brand, and it would essentially just be like a copy of the first location, but we would still have all control. We would, there would be some sort of, 2% of revenue or something would go to us as the franchisors. And then they as the franchisees would have to pay that. And then the third choice, which is the one that we chose, was licensing. So we actually licensed the brand. So they paid us one time upfront in order to open the business. And for that, they were able to use our branding. We built their website for them, and I, helped along every step of the way, but they essentially had not full creative control because we did have a licensing agreement that they had to adhere to. So they had to, one of the terms was that our party pricing had to be the same. And our time slots had to be the same so that it was easy if one party needed to move from one location to the other, it would be seamless. So we did have a list of specifications that they had to meet, but they are the owners. So when I say it's our second location, it's the second Climbing Vines location, but I do not own it. And that's the reason I did that is because I live probably 2 minutes away from our first location. That location is about 35 minutes from me. And I just knew that, having a 2 and a 4-year-old, I wouldn't be able to dedicate any more time or resources, especially with, the educational stuff. It would be hard for me to manage 2 locations plus the educational program, group coaching, all that stuff. And because of my business background, I really just like the educational aspect more. And that's really what I found myself gravitating more towards. So what happened was Bree, the owner of the second location, she was one of our longtime customers. She was a lot closer to us originally, but then she moved out in Chile, which is where the second location is. And she basically approached me and said, she had been an entrepreneur before. I knew her very well over the last couple of years. And she basically approached me and said, I want to open a play cafe. I'm either going to do it, she didn't say it just like this, but I'm paraphrasing, but she said, I'm going to do it with or without you. I would love for it to be a Climbing Vines because I think you guys, have a really great reputation in the community. I love what you guys have done. And it would take, she has 4 kids. So it took a lot off of her plate in terms of opening and, having my guidance because, you guys inside of the group coaching program, you guys have all of my processing guidance, but I was actually physically there helping her. So it was a lot of hands-on and things like that. And she was actually able to use our financials to get a loan because we had been in business for, over 3 years at the time. So she was able to use our tax returns to help secure her funding. So that's something that isn't available to everybody, obviously. Yeah. So it was a little bit of a different relationship. But she basically said she was going to do it with or without me. And I felt like I really had to take a look. I looked at education, I looked at all of our memberships, and we really would serve different radiuses. Also the 2 customers, our city is pretty well divided into like east side, west side, and people on the east side, there's like a, geographical divide almost where people on the east side tend to stay on the east side, people on the west side tend to stay on the west side, just because it's such a long track between them and there's not a whole lot like in between. So I really felt like we would be serving a different clientele. And we have been, luckily. We haven't really seen an impact. When they're at capacity, we're also at capacity. When they have a fully booked party weekend, we also have a fully booked party weekend. So we've been really lucky in that regard, but that's how it happened. Is she approached me and said, I would love for it to be a Climbing Vines. And then I had to kind of go back and say, okay, do I want, this to be a true competitor or do I want to work together?
Yeah. So she paid y'all up front for all of your help and website and logo and being a part of the team. But then from then on out, y'all don't get any revenue from that. Like it's basically like she paid for the location, she pays rent, she pays all the things, and y'all just have the same name and stuff.
Correct.
And okay, so I don't know what you do. I know that I've seen on your social media that you'll post like we're at max capacity today or something like that. Mm-hmm. What is your number of max capacity?
So technically, and this is not a hard number, so the fire marshal says that our capacity is 82, but that's actually like we very rarely let it get to 82.
That's it, grown-ups and kids?
Yeah, that would be total. So, but they don't really, when they zone it, they don't take into account the 3-foot wall. So like so what I tell my employees is that, and we use smart waivers, so we're able to see how many people are actually in the building at one time. I tell them that 20 is like a good number for kids playing, and then plus they're adults. But if it's a lot of babies, we can usually go up to like 25, 26 and still be comfortable. But like today, there's no school today. So we're going to get a lot of older kids.
Yeah.
We usually trim it down a little bit and say, okay, maybe like 18 to 20 is good. We're really lucky in that our staff member can see the play area from where they're standing and checking people in. So they can easily like walk to the other side of the counter and look and say, okay, if one more child goes into play, it will detract from the play experience of all the other people in there. So what we usually do is we try to play it by ear, but 20 is usually what we say. Sometimes if it's once in a while, I'll like email our entire list and say, okay, we're at capacity for like the rest of the day. Like, please don't come. Like if we have like 20 people waiting or something like that, but I try not to like blast our email list with that too often. But if it's a winter break day and we're going to be closed for like the next 4 hours and we really don't want people, or we're going to be at capacity for the next several hours, I really, don't want people to, I'd rather people not come and try it every day. So I don't do that regularly. I do it very rarely. But something that I do is, so we use Squarespace and we always put like the announcement bar at the top of our website that says, we're currently at capacity. And that takes 2 seconds for somebody at the store to do. And then we also post on social media. And then when people come in, we don't charge them if we're at capacity. So what we'll do is we have like a clipboard and like a sign-in name and time. And then what we'll do is we have like coloring books, crayons, crafts, and stuff out. And we say, feel free to color, feel free to do a craft. If you want to purchase a drink or a snack to kind of hold you over, let us know and we'll charge them for the snacks or drinks. But we won't actually, so what happens is when we see one family come out and start putting their shoes and coats on, we'll walk up to the other family. And days where we're very, very busy, like break weeks, I'll usually have 2 people on for this reason. So someone will be able to go up to the next family in line and say, or sometimes like we can't even find them, we'll have to just like yell their name.
Yeah.
But there's really no better way to do it. And then they'll come in and then they'll come up to the counter and pay. And then usually by the time they pay and take their shoes off, the other family's out the door.
Yeah.
Having those like coloring supplies and things like that, I think really helps. Because, usually they don't have to wait more than like 15 minutes because if it's really busy, people are not.
I don't want to stay.
So.
See, for us, it's been different. Like our fire marshal was not like, hey, this is the number that can be in here because we share the building with another person. So he was really carefree and just like, oh, just ask her how many can be in the whole building and then divide it by your space or something. But we went ahead and picked the number 20 because we were just guessing. We wouldn't want more than 20 kids in there. But the thing is, sometimes if there's 23-year-olds in there, they can play freely and move around. But if there's 21-year-olds and their mother is sitting there with them, that makes a difference because then you have 20 kids and 20 moms. Like that's a whole nother story than if the moms are over on the other side and just the kids are in there, there's enough room. But if it's mom and kid, then it's kind of like, ugh. So I hate to even say 20 and then, like you said, just be looking at it and see like, okay, that's not comfortable enough for anyone else to go in there,
Yeah, but and we have seen like all around the perimeter, which helps. So even like parents of girls, they can still be in the play area, but not be like hovering.
Yeah.
So that helps a lot. But we really just play it by ear. So our number is 20, but again, sometimes we'll cut it off early. And again, if someone has a question and says like, oh, there's not 20 kids in there, I just say, well, you're right. But adding one more person would, detract from the play experience of everybody else in there.
Yeah. That's what I was thinking. I was like, if I put 20 and then somebody's like, doop, 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 nope, there's only 18.
No one's ever done that to us.
Yeah.
I think it's because we distract them with like And sometimes if people are really frustrated or their child is having like some sort of meltdown waiting, I'll bring them a book or I'll bring them a snack and just not charge them for it. Like our employees are trained to do stuff like that just to keep everybody comfortable.
Yeah.
And we usually get a lot of good feedback for that. We try not to, but again, if somebody's really feeling frustrated or their child is having a hard time, we will try to, help whenever we can. We always, so when I make favors for parties, we always have like some leftover. So if somebody only needs 10 favors, but it came in like a pack of 14, we always throw all those extra like favor items into a bowl and we use it for like tantrums and stuff. So if someone's having a hard time, they'll get like a little, like a box of stickers or like a sticker sheet or something like that. Something that's like,
that's awesome. I heard you say that before about your treasure chest, and I definitely doing that. I think that's a great idea. Okay, let me see. I know your space is a little different because you have the playhouses and stuff and you don't move those, but do you ever have people who are members who come in a good bit? Like I'm feeling like if there's people who are coming in once or twice a week, like how often should I try to rearrange things or like switch things out and do a different play station in that area, just so that for members who are paying monthly that it doesn't get like old or, like do you ever switch stuff around or change the toys that are in there?
We rearrange a lot and we also rotate the dress up clothes most frequently. So because I have to wash them and it takes a couple days because our manager does it now, but we like hand wash them. So it takes a couple days for them to dry. So we are constantly rotating those. But honestly, with the people that we serve, they're like the kids are mostly under 3. So if we just rearrange, they think that it's new.
Yeah.
But then, so what we'll try to do, and we do that once a month about, and then what we do in addition to that is a lot of times we'll just have an extra craft or something, or some sort of activity out so that it is, something new, something fresh.
Do you have story time?
We don't, because we don't really have anyone to do it. I can't do it. I'm really like the worst at story time. I can't do it. I don't know what is like wrong with me, but I'm so awkward. Like I can't do it. I've tried so many times and it gives me so much anxiety. I like used to lose so much sleep. Like days when I had to go in, like I'm not a teacher. That's never been my thing. I can like read to my own kids, but I can't read in front of like I literally sit there and like read the words. I'm not like animated whatsoever. So if I had someone to do it, we used to have somebody come in like an Osborne consultant and they would do story time. But we got a lot of negative feedback that she was a little bit pushy. And also we always felt like it was free with a catch. So we tried a couple different Osborne consultants and it just never really worked out. So what we're doing now is we're doing more like story time events. We had a staff member who's a mom and who's much less awkward. She's also a former preschool teacher. She's going to do the event story times, because something else that we found, because we used to do a lot of events during the day, like just pop-up events. A lot of times people would actually get frustrated because they'd be like, well, my child doesn't want to participate. We can only be here for an hour. Like I want him to burn his energy off. I don't want him to have to sit and read a story if he doesn't want to. But then if one child is walking around and playing, then the other ones are going to walk around and play. So just because of the size of our space and because we serve children mainly under 3, we've never really figured out how to have like a successful story time during the day.
Yeah.
It seems so simple, but I swear, like if one child doesn't participate, it was like mayhem. And then the parents will get really frustrated because the parents that did want to participate, their children were having none of it because they just see all the toys and they like can't. So I think if we had like a separate dedicated room, maybe we would do it more. But now I'm doing them as like separate events. So we do a lot of like themed events. So we have one coming up. It's like Hungry Caterpillar based. So we're going to read the book and then we're going to do like a craft based on the book. And then we're going to like a stack based on the book. And parents really like that. And they're willing to pay, more for that because it's like,
that's what I was going to say. Is that extra? If it's during your open play hours, they just pay more for their ticket, or is it included in their ticket, or it's after hours special thing?
That would be after hours special thing. Anything that's during open hours, I try not to charge extra for. It's just something included, because it's just really hard. Like if somebody doesn't want to pay for it, you can't be like, okay, well, like close your ears. Like you can't listen to, you know what I mean? It's really hard. People will get frustrated. So we usually do them on like weeknights, and we attract an entirely different kind of customer. So during the day, it's all like stay-at-home parents. During our evening and weekend events, it's typically parents that work full time. So they're typically willing to pay more because there isn't a lot of stuff that's open at night. So we've had a lot of success with those events. We've also been we do like pajama story times, things like that. Another place in the area just did like a story of, they have like a little fake campfire, and they did like campfire story themed. It was really cute.
Yeah. See, I feel like
s'mores.
Like my 2-year-old, she wants me to read her books, but she doesn't much care about them. You know, she'll get up and walk away. But my 4-year-old will like stare at a book and do the next one and the next one. And I know what you're talking about, because when I first started teaching and I had to read in front of other teachers and kids, I was like, ugh. But now I absolutely
even
love
now I'm like sweating thinking about it.
I know. I got used to it. Now I read upside down and everything. And I love reading books. And and honestly, kids, I guess like probably 4 to 6. That's what I always said as a teacher. Like when you open a book, they're like they really will just like stare at you and be quiet, but it has to be the right like age group. So that's what I'm thinking, like how to target that.
A lot of 4 to 6. So we'll do a lot more like engaged story time for summer camps, but we're closed to the public during summer camps. So we do them Monday, Wednesday afternoons in the summer. And so we'll do like sit down story times then. We're going to do a little bit more activities, but the toddlers, like literally if one child did not want to participate, it was impossible. And everyone would just get really frustrated. I thought that I was doing like such a great thing by having this story time, but people would call ahead and be like, are you doing story time today? Like, we really want to play. Cause like, it's not, a library, it's like a play area, right? So people come to us for a different reason. They come to us because their child is like terrorizing their home and they just want a change of scenery and they some energy off before nap time. They don't want to come and do the story. And some other play spaces are more educational based. So people come with the expectation that it's going to be like a learning experience.
Yeah.
Like I've seen some more like Montessori based where parents like are actively playing with their children the entire time. Like they take one workout, they work on it, they put it back. Like that's just not how our space is organized. So I think the more educational based facilities do a lot better job with this. But again, it's just something that I've never really been able to successfully incorporate. And that's one of the things that really surprised me the most is people would literally call ahead and be like,
that's so funny.
Please stop. Like my child doesn't want to sit still and like I tell them I'm going to play and then we have to sit. It's just like
yeah, I guess it makes sense if we have a different space or not, because they'll definitely be distracted.
You have like an extra space, right? To be able to
I would it's open to the front, but it's also a little closed off too.
Yeah, I would maybe consider using that. And like we've found a lot of times too, because we do have like that little quiet corner. So something that we've done before is if we're reading a book that has some sort of like gross motor aspect to it. Like if we like say, I'm trying to think, we did like monkeys jumping on the bed book before and we'll give them scarves and they'll like, kind of like mimic the jumping thing. And like that really keeps them engaged. And like, even though the space isn't closed off, they're still like contained because we're like engaging not only their, minds, but also their bodies. So if your space isn't closed off, I would recommend doing something like that. Or like, we'll do like egg shakers or something like that, some way to keep them like super engaged. Because at age, like if you lose their attention for like 2 seconds, it's like gone and it's not coming back. So that's the only struggle that we've had is we don't have like a closed off space. We really had to like get creative. But.
When you said about the camps, that made me think I am wanting to do a Friday night, like drop off movie night, playtime thing or whatever. Do you do that? Do you recommend that? I know you do because I found your thank you for the parent waiver for that night where they have to put emergency contacts and all that stuff. But I just wanted to see what you say, like how those go and like what problems you've had or whatever about the drop-off night.
Yeah, I'm smiling. We don't do them anymore. We use that waiver mainly for camps. And this is another thing that is probably nuanced to our space. I went into like really specific detail with numbers and everything and exactly how much we were making and some tweaks we made to make it a lot more profitable. So I'll send you the link to that blog article. It's newer, so you probably missed it. But we don't do it anymore. We were able to make it a lot more profitable than it was before using those tweaks. So things we did where we changed the age range because we used to allow younger children too, like diaper children, and it required more staff. It required a lot more attention and because staff.
I was thinking like potty trained and up, you know, like.
And that's what we changed it to, and we were able to accommodate a lot more children with less staff. But we don't do them anymore. And really the reason that it came down to is that it was our staff really hated doing it. I couldn't do it because I would have to bring my kids with me because my husband travels a lot. And I didn't like doing it because I felt like I was ignoring my kids because my kids when I'm there, they're very needy. Like when I drop them off at school, they're like, fine. But if I'm there, they have a hard time. They don't like seeing me interact with other kids as much, especially, they're a little bit better now, but when they were like 1 and 3, it was really hard for them. So I would have to schedule our staff and it was always like a Thursday, Friday night. And it would really just burn them out for like the entire weekend because it's a lot. It is a lot. They're not teachers yet. They're young, they're moms, and they just had their kids all week and now they're having to watch all of these other kids. And because we focus so heavily on birthday parties, anytime we had like a Friday kids night out, it would like spiral the entire weekend downward. Like they would start off with on the wrong foot. Our staff dreaded it. They would always beg to not work it. And again, I have to take responsibility. A lot of that was probably how we organized it. But even when we made their suggested changes, it still really didn't get better. And I saw like the service that we were delivering for our birthday party clients on the weeks where we did have kids night out, it was declining. And I just finally had to draw the line and said, okay, I'm not going to dedicate time and resources to this anymore. I'm just going to focus on parties. And we've actually been booking a lot of Friday night birthday parties and they just like doing that so much better. And kids night out, because we focus so heavily on birthday parties, it was always such a chore to promote it. It did always end up selling out, but I had to post about it like every single day for like 3 weeks. And it was like pulling teeth, to be honest. And we just found that also the people that were I shouldn't say all the people because some of the people that took advantage of it were regular customers and they were amazing. But some of the people who took those last couple spots, they really didn't respect us. They didn't respect our time. They were always late, even though we charged, didn't call. They would send their kids sick. Because, they already paid and we don't give refunds. So they would send their kids sick. We've had kids throw up at kids night out. We've had fevers. And you would think that wouldn't happen, but it happened quite a bit. Happened enough where I was like, it's really burning my staff out. It's our marketing time away from other things that we could be spending more time on. So now we just are back to focusing on parties. And then we do the afternoon drop-offs in the summer. Sometimes, occasionally over the winter, we will do the Monday, Wednesday afternoon drop-off still. We'll we'll call it like a mom's day out and get your Christmas shopping done, that kind of thing. So those, but it's just the nighttime with that age range is very difficult.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. We want to do it because, like when we posted online, we asked like, what do y'all want to do? And it was story time and the drop off. And we're kind of like where we're located. We're like right in the middle of some neighborhoods.
Yeah, I would just try it. Yeah, so I would read the tips that I put into that blog because we started out not really making any money from it. And then we made a lot of money from it, but still not as much as a party. But again, even though we were making money off it, I really just had to make a decision that we were going to dedicate our resources elsewhere. So I think that blog will help a lot. And if anyone's watching this, I'll put the link in the comments of the video. But it really just was not a good fit for our specific space. So I would just try it. Use it. Only you are, every single space is different. Every single team is different. We have mainly like 17 to 19-year-olds working that type of time slot. Even though they were going to school for teaching and they wanted to be teachers, they obviously love kids if they work there, but it was just not working out. Constant lateness of parents and bringing kids back, it was really tough.
I can see that.
So we definitely prefer the afternoon drop-offs instead of the nighttime. Again, because we serve mainly, under 3. So even if kids are potty trained, they're still typically 3 and 4. And that nighttime, dinner time situation is just, it's really hard for them too. I didn't think it was fair to the kids.
Yeah, I can understand that. I'm trying to read what I put. I think I've seen what you say this before, but strollers, do you have like an outside designated stroller parking? Like, or are you somewhere where people are walking with strollers? Like we're somewhere where a lot of people are coming with strollers and we don't have anywhere inside where you can even try to put all these big strollers. And I had a parent ask me about that. So I was thinking to put some sign somewhere outside just to help them not bring the strollers in because they are so big and,
Yeah, we are not in an area where people are walking a lot. It's mainly driving. And we have a little bit of space where people put their shoes, but we do ask people to fold the strollers up. So we have them put them all against our party cabinet because we're not accessing it during the day. And we do have a sign that says, all strollers that come in must be able to be folded. So we do allow them. We don't allow them in the play area, but we do have like a small space. But if it really starts to become a problem, you could always, if you're not using that small room during the day, you could always have like stroller parking in there.
Yeah.
But yeah, for us, even though we're not at a place where people walk, people do bring strollers in, especially parents of like twins or multiple children, because we do have a very large parking lot. So again, and I would also put that on your website so that people can plan in advance. So a lot of people will bring like baby carriers into our facility instead and things like that because they know that they can't, like, they'll have to fold it up. And a lot of times people have so much stuff in their stroller that they can't fold it up.
Yeah.
So I think just making that expectation clear or finding somewhere to put them or, some sort of compromise I think would be fine. But as long as you're upfront about what you do and don't allow and make sure you like let people know that and put it on your frequently asked questions page, I think it would be fine.
Yeah. What about your, I don't know what you call it, like pop-up shops and stuff? Like I was thinking Christmas would be a good time for that. Do those vendors pay you or do you just set them up and kind of like while the kids play, moms can shop or like how do you
They pay. I usually charge between $50 and $65 per vendor. We can usually do up to 12. They pay in advance. And then sometimes we'll have kids come. Sometimes it'll be like a mom's night out thing. Because sometimes we will have like beer vendors or like wine vendors. And in that case, we don't allow children. And sometimes we'll actually use the play area. Like LuLaRoe was big for a while here. I don't know if it was big there, but like we would let them like take over the play area with like racks and stuff. So then it would be like a mom's night out scenario.
Yeah.
We did that. But we did do a lot of like during the day as well. We just cut the alcohol and chose different vendors for that. But we've done both. But I just have found that it's always better for them to pay us because then they're kind of on the hook for promoting it as well. So I have like a full, and I can actually share this inside of our group. I have an email that I send out to them before each event. I give them the links to the event. I give them tips on how to promote it. I, share like a sample email. Like I make it as easy as possible for them to promote it. And I say like, by signing up, like I have the expectation that you're going to share this event. Like it's a team effort, but having them pay us in advance up front really gets them more motivated to get as many people there as possible. And if each vendor can bring, if there's 12 vendors and each of them bring 10 people in, that's 120 shoppers without like any intervention from me. And 10 people is usually pretty easy for someone to do. And then people will come in based on, my email list. We promote it very heavily via email. We've struck out a couple times, like we've had a couple events like that where only a couple people have shown up, and it's usually reflective of like the day and time. I usually find like Friday nights work really well. Anytime I try to do it like on a weeknight, it's really hard. Stuff comes up, dinner, bedtime. They have to get the kids ready for school. They have to make lunches, whatever. Friday nights typically work best, or even Saturday nights. I find weeknight nights are definitely more difficult to get people in the door, but I'm also very honest with the vendors up front. Like, this is my marketing plan. This is how many shoppers we had at this event last year. This is how many we expect. But, also it's, there's no refunds, like if nobody shows up, you know what I mean? So I try to be upfront as well so that people aren't asking for refunds. We've only had like 1 or 2 events that really, I guess, flopped. So then in that situation, I didn't give anyone a refund, but I did give them like priority sign up for the next event. And I let them know like what I changed. So like, oh, we're doing it at a different time, or we're going to schedule it another month in advance so that we have another month to promote it. Things like that.
Yeah, I would love that email to vendors. And like some of my, like I'm doing some events in October where like a cookie company's like coming in and like a yoga girl's coming in, and they're going to get the money after, at the event when people have already paid. But it's like you said, it's kind of like I'm like pushing all this stuff and they don't seem to be pushing it as much. And I'm like, well, you're not going to get money and you're going to be here, but I guess that's up to them. And I didn't send them anything,
Yeah, I would try to send them some tips, like the link to the Facebook event, because even though it's like should seem like common sense, a lot of people just don't think of it, or they can't find the event, or they don't know how to share it. So I literally will send them a link and say, okay, paste this in and like share it once a week. Like you'll be surprised. Like I said, if you can even get 10 people in the door, or like try sharing it in a group, because I'm banned against self-promotion. I can't promote my own business in a lot of the parenting groups, but they can promote my business, right?
Right.
I recommend sharing it inside of groups and things like that. But yeah, if you can give them any sort of marketing tips, and it's one of those things where you're not really going to know what works until it does. But like if they have an email list, it would be helpful to send that out. If they have a past client list, we've had some people who do like frequent vendor events. You can actually post in a Facebook event that's already passed and say, hey, if you missed this event, I have a new one coming up, like with the link. And that usually works pretty well. We do that a lot. So like if Babies and Brunch sells out and we schedule a new one, as soon as I schedule the new one, I'll paste that link in the previous event and say, hey, if you missed this one because it sold out, here's the link to the new one. And we usually get a couple of signups just from that. Because if people have said that they're RSVP'd either going or interested, they'll get a notification. It won't just pop up in their newsfeed. They'll get an actual notification. So
I know I have my first event tomorrow afternoon with the cookie decorating, and in the event there's like so many people that say interested or whatever, but there's only 9 people who've actually bought a ticket, and I'm like, you're not really interested, but
I would keep posting in that event too, because they'll get notification. I would keep posting in it as much as you can, and then after the event I always post pictures of it to give people like that FOMO. Because if they missed out on that one and they see how much fun the event was and that people actually attended, because I think people get nervous about like brand new facilities too. They're like, well, am I going to be the only one there? Post pictures. If they missed out on that event, they're probably not going to want to miss out on the next one.
That's true. What you just said, I don't know, maybe if there already is, or if there's an easy way for you to see or to type this up. I would love to know all of the events or like themes that you've done. I remember seeing
I've been working on that actually.
Oh, good. Because I remember you said something about the preschool prep, and I was thinking that would be a fun thing to implement. And then when you just said brunch and babies, I'm like, that sounds so cute. I don't know what that is. I want to do that, So I like all of your ideas. Like, I think when parents have something to go to, like yeah, they love the open play, but if there's story time or if there's brunch
and if they're going to show up too. Sometimes people not show up, but usually we get anything that we do outside of open hours. I try not to do like extended open play, because then people are like, oh, cool, but then they don't show up. I try to do like ticketed events. I can share those. But the Babies and Brunch and everything, they should be like on our Facebook page if you look at our past events. And I put like all the details inside the event. I'm actually having our manager work on like compiling all of our events and like how we run them. But in the meantime, you can get the details that way. It has the price. It has the link to the registration page, so you can actually see it if you want, just in the meantime.
That sounds so cute. Let me ask you one more thing. I know we've been on longer than we planned.
I feel terrible, so don't worry about it.
Yeah, it was me. I couldn't get it to work. Your manager. I know that you said like for the first 6 months to a year, you were doing everything yourself until you couldn't. And you had to let someone else do something. And that's kind of how I am. Like I have these girls, my team members that I'm calling them. But and obviously I've only been open for a week, but I feel like it's going to be hard for me to delegate like big responsibilities to them in terms of me when I'm saying like booking parties or like following up with party people or being the point of contact, just because I do want to make sure everybody is so happy, like customer wise. Like when did I know you had to relinquish control because somebody was in the hospital or you were sick or something.
Yeah, I had an early emergency C-section. And I wasn't expecting to have another child either. Like obviously I knew ahead of time, but like it's not enough time to was this someone who had been on your staff for a while and you like talked about them about a promotion? Like did you end up paying this person's salary now? Like how did she become your manager, and like how did you give more and more responsibility to her? Yep. So our current manager, Sarah, she was not our first manager. So I think I made the mistake the first time. Our first manager, her name was Kayla, and she was awesome. But just at the time so she started as a team member and then we promoted her. But one of the mistakes I think a lot of people make, and myself included, is that they promote from it within just based on performance. But just her personality type didn't really fit that of a manager. She was really uncomfortable. A lot of our employees had become her friends. So she was just really uncomfortable delegating to them. She was really struggling, and we ended up having to let her go. She went back to school, so it wasn't like we didn't fire her. But it just didn't really work out. So then next we hired someone named Dion. He was our second manager. He was great, but was maybe a little too comfortable delegating and like didn't do a lot on his own. He was great. We're actually still really close friends, and he fills in from time to time. But again, he was just at a place in his life where he wasn't ready to manage people either. So the third time I hired Sarah, and she was kind of our supervisor from the beginning. And when I was hiring, I looked for somebody who was going to be strong in a manager role. Somebody who had experience, somebody who was nice but also firm. So she started as a manager. She started as a supervisor, then I promoted her to a manager. It's like kind of a nuance, but it did come with a pay bump. Now she only works about 30 hours a week, so she's not salary, but she's happy with that. That works with her schedule. She typically works like 8 to 4 most days. Some days she'll work 8 to 2. She doesn't work weekends, which she loves. She'll fill in once in a while, but it just really fits. She's going to school online right now. So she's been with us. It's actually her 2-year anniversary this week. But again, if I can give any advice, it would be, if somebody's doing a really, really good job as a party host, like maybe keep them there, but give them like more responsibilities in terms of parties. Maybe start having them communicate with clients. My biggest mistake was forcing somebody into a manager role just because they were doing a good job. Instead, I would definitely look for personality traits that make a good manager. I just promoted people when they did a good job, and that was the wrong move. Wrong move, but I did it anyways. And I was like, but she's doing such a good job. Like she's such a good worker, but not only, it was uncomfortable for her too, for Kayla. She didn't love it either. Like she took the opportunity because it was, a pay upgrade, and, she thought it was cool, but she just wasn't ready. And I didn't give her the proper training either. I have to take, a lot of the responsibility as well. I didn't train her how to be a manager because I still didn't really know how to be a manager. So something that I worked on a lot, I would say in like 2017, like all year, I dedicated that entire year to learning how to manage a team, learning how to have a great group culture, learning how to motivate people, learning how to have a positive work environment. So I had to do a lot of self-work because even though I was, educated in business, I had never managed a team of like 8 before. So I had to do a lot of like self-work. I read a lot of books. I listened to a lot of podcasts. And that's how I kind of grew in that way. But it wasn't until I learned how to manage a team that I was able to train someone else. So I just kind of would force people into that role and then be like, okay,
Yeah.
Here's your list of responsibilities, but I didn't give them the right tools or resources. So 2 pieces of advice is look for personality traits, not necessarily work ethic. Because those are the people that are going to be really strong. And always call recommendations. If you're hiring someone who has experience, definitely call. Don't just ask for recommendations and then not call them. Definitely talk through how do they handle when somebody calls in? How do they handle if you want I would ask really specific scenarios. And then the second piece of advice would be to learn how to manage a team yourself. Read books, listen to podcasts, do whatever you have to do in order to manage your team. And the interview that I did with Paul Maskell, he was the guest expert training, I think in February maybe or March. He talked a lot about how to delegate and things like that. And I actually just wrote a blog. I just published it on Friday about how hard it is to delegate for some small business owners and why and how I overcame it. So I'll share that link as well.
That would be great, because that's one of the things so far that it's just I'm not used to telling other adults what to do or when to do it. And I keep telling them, I'm we're all new at this, and I want to be nice, but I also want them to do what I want them to do, So it's a process trying to figure out how to manage people and set expectations and be the boss, Yeah,
it's hard. So I had to learn how to do that. It's not natural to me. I'm not a natural leader. So that was hard for me. I had to do a lot of self-education. But once I did, it became a lot easier. And I was once I took responsibility, okay, it's not my managers that are failing. It's me that's failing to hire the right people and train them the right way.
Yeah.
I would even consider if, before I really, took a step back and had the time to train myself, I considered sending them to some sort of local management training. They have them here. A couple times a year. I considered that as well, but I'm glad I did it the way I did. But I definitely think that as business owners, it's our responsibility to not only put people in the right positions, but also give them the tools and resources they need. So I think it is possible to learn alongside them. But in terms of timeline, to me, I would have done it sooner so that it wasn't an emergency. I promoted Kayla out of necessity.
Yeah.
I just needed someone, and I was just so reluctant to train a brand new person. She had already been with us a year. Mm-hmm. And then with Dion, he was a friend's brother who had managed a Starbucks before. So the trust factor was there, but his personality just didn't fit our work environment. He had a Starbucks personality. I don't know if that makes sense, but I don't know. It was tough. But again, my fault. I was home with a newborn. And then when we hired Sarah right after Dion, I think it was finally I had learned from my mistakes. And I immediately looked for somebody who would fit the role, who would mesh with our environment. And I was also very upfront about our work environment. I think I was kind of I didn't lie to Dion, but I think I was maybe not as upfront about what he could expect in terms of his day-to-day. I was oh yeah, we make tons of coffees. You'll love it. You'll fit right in. I didn't really tell him all of the ways he's going to have to interact with parents. He doesn't have kids, so it was not as comfortable for him.
Yeah.
So I think I would be very upfront about expectations and about what they can expect in terms of not just responsibilities, but what their actual day-to-day looks like. And then you're going to find the right person.
And it's funny because it's easier.
Salary. You can hire someone to be a supervisor 20 hours a week. So I think once I realized that too, it became a lot easier. And that's how Sarah started 20 hours a week. And then I kept increasing and giving her pay upgrades, every couple months, based on performance. And she also works on a little bit of a commission basis. So if she hits her sales goal for the day, she gets a bonus into her paycheck. And she knows what her sales goal is every single day. So
I love that. And it's so funny because I'm better at texting or emailing or videoing what's in my head than if you're standing right in front of me. Yeah. So actually yesterday I made this video message and sent it to the 3 girls just saying how great I thought the week went and some things we noticed, my husband and I. I was here's your weekly recap, even though you probably don't want to watch my face for 10 minutes. I just want to tell you all the things that we've been thinking, So they were receptive of that, and that was good. And it was easier for me too, because
I might steal that from you actually.
Yeah, because I
type it all out, and it's not as personal.
Yeah,
and I don't see very often. I've gone months without seeing some of the employees that work on the weekends only, because if I'm traveling, I'm somewhere else. So kind of check in with them in that way.
I do have an idea for you before we go though. Okay, so I don't know how many people are in our group. I think it's like 100.
90.
In our 99 in our Play Cafe group. And I know that we're all probably moms or parents, and we all have lots going on, and we're all over the place. But I was just thinking how fun it would be to plan some sort of like retreat or like meet up where we could all like go over all these ideas and like talk about our experience and like actually be together at like a conference type thing.
Yeah,
I know you have so much going on, but that would be so fun if we planned.
I would love that. I would love that. The only problem is because my husband travels so much, it would have to probably be like around here, like in some sort of like location around here. So I would love to do that. And it's on my like vision board for 2020 for sure. Because I would want to plan it like at least like 6 to 8 months in advance so that people can plan it. But I would love to. It's definitely going to happen. So I'm going to ask you guys for a lot of guidance in terms of what resources you guys want there. Because I don't want it to just be me, because you guys get access to me all the time. I would love to bring in like an accountant or somebody that has people that have strengths that are not mine, to kind of make it almost like I want to connect and network and things like that and get to know you guys. But I would also want to make it very educational. Almost
definitely go to that.
Yeah, so that would be awesome. That's very affirming, because it's something that I really want to do. So thank you for that. So I'll be creating a post in the group. I'm closing the doors again to the program on Friday. So after that, I'm going to have a lot more time to like check off these items on my list. I only opened it on this past Friday, and I'm closing it this coming Friday. So after that, I'm going to have a lot more time, I think, to think through all of those things. But thank you so much for saying that.
Yeah, and because I mean,
willing to do that.
A few of us in the group were talking yesterday how I was making one of the videos showing my space, and that my husband walked in. I was like, I'm talking to the Play Cafe people, and she was laughing because she was like, he knows what that is. And it's so funny because like I mention your name all the time, and I told you I call you my mentor girl. Like anybody who asks me, I'm like, well, I have a mentor girl who owns a few of these, and she's kind of showed us how to do it. And like I'm always talking about our group, and it's so nice to be able to go on here and type in like, Michelle, here's my question. And before the day's over, you're always like willing to answer it and quickly like help us. And then to have 100 other people doing the same thing, tell you how it works for them, like that is the most beneficial. Like all your stuff on your Play Cafe Academy has been over the top helpful, but then just having this Facebook group of everybody who's doing the exact same thing, and you always answer anything that we say, is like completely worth any penny that we have spent on there, you know?
Thank you so much. I really, really appreciate it. And I love that you've already opened. I love seeing everything. Everyone's plans are finally starting to come together. So thank you so much for the kind words and for actually putting everything into action. I love seeing that.
Yeah, thank you. Definitely could not have done it without you. And I appreciate this call too. It's been super helpful.
Oh yeah, no problem. Thank you so much. I'm sure I'll talk to you in the group this week. So thank you again.
Thanks, Michelle.
All right, bye. Have a great day.
Bye.